Hola guys, it's 60 back again for the ones that have returned for the State of the Cowboys Draft Day 2026. I'm gonna get right to it. Now, sadly, I was right last year. If you see my video last year, the Cowboys did indeed go offensive line, and they weren't even wiped out at all the skill positions, and they won 7 games like I thought they would. However, let's go over the things I didn't expect. I didn't expect them to trade for George Pickens, which was a godsend and beautiful to watch for this wonderful offense. I wasn't expecting them to trade Michael Parsons, which was absolutely devastating to this defense. So much so it became a historically bad defense, and they still won 7 games. When all teams average 30 points a game against you, no matter how bad the offense is, yeah, that's a bad place. Now, my 7-game wins included Michael Parsons, but it didn't have GP. And they were still able to beat both Super Bowl contenders with that terrible defense. So with hindsight, there's a small glimmer of hope on the defense and for the team if the defense can just be mediocre.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And if that happens, they will be better by default. Now, this hope would stem from the newly hired DC Christian Parker. Coming from the Vic Fangio tree, fans are expecting it to be an upgrade from the Flus experiment. Not that Flus had much a chance to really show his defense, but in the brief time he had, he did not put confidence in the team, the front office, or the fans.
No! 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 No!
He was using other coaches' players, and I believe that if you do that, it won't ever turn out well. I digress. I believe that CP would be an upgrade. However, it's going to take about 2 years until 2027 to show what he can really do. This is his first time calling plays. Also, I believe this draft class is a highly developmental one. The guys available will need work and an offseason program to really improve. I've heard the media call it not so strong or not as good or they're disappointed in it or however they want to say it.
This draft class is pretty widely considered one of the weaker ones.
But I don't choose to believe that way because there's always gems somewhere. We're just not looking hard enough. Now, with that also being said, I'm not the biggest fan of defensive players coming out. I had to actually search and find pet cats really hard like diamonds in the rough, and it felt so easy previous years. Like, oh, there goes a guy. I like him. Now, the good news is there is a surplus of defensive players available. Now, I'm also not a big fan of the first round graded players, except for Jeremiah Love. Everyone else feels like the guys after them will be just as good with time. So, what should we expect? Well, we know that Dallas drafts well in the first round, and this year, in a rare time, Dallas has 2 first-round picks, but no second-rounders. In a 7 out of 10 draft, Dallas produces a Pro Bowl or All-Pro player. So it's good that Dallas gets 2 chances. I have confidence that Dallas will choose good players, especially in the first round, and it shouldn't matter if it's offense or defense, because ultimately, a first-round choice is supposed to increase the floor of your team or ceiling if you like your floor. You like how your floor is looking. Now, there's also been talk I've been hearing about moving up or moving back. Now, I despise this narrative because it gets the fans hoping in the spaghetti draft monster in the sky. Now, the last time Dallas moved up was in 2012 for Mo Claiborne, and it was the first and the second, people. 2012, 15 years ago almost. It's 15 years old. So Dallas won't move up. I don't see that happening. And I also don't think they move back because who is going to give up their picks, especially if they're saying this draft isn't as good as normal? Who's giving up their picks? I don't see it. Plus, with the 12th and 20th pick, they can basically have whoever they want. To me, this is a go get your guy draft. Don't worry about value. Don't worry about round. Go get your guy because if you wait too long, he may not be there. I also believe people are sleeping on the receivers in this year's top spots. Tyson and Lemon are dogs, and they show up against a whole bunch of tapes I was watching on defenses. It didn't matter if it was Ohio State or it didn't matter who I was watching. Now with Tate, I'm a bigger Smith fan, Jeremiah Smith fan, but hey, if you like Tate, life is a box of chocolates, baby.
Never know what you're going to get.
All in all, the last couple of drafts for the Cowboys have been split. About half offensive players and half defensive players. The last full defensive draft we had was when we had Dan Quinn. his first year, and I did like that. I don't know if this drill would be like that, but man, I'm hoping so, because it would help out CP a lot. So I'll say this. With the 12th pick, the Cowboys select Caleb Downs or Dylan Thieneman for defense. And if they choose to go offense, receiver, Tyson. Or hopefully Love falls. I doubt it. And shout out to Voch for making offense even okay to even talk about around the Dallas Cowboys community. The 20th pick is either Malachi Lawrence or Falk or a defensive line player. Now, most people believe that the 30 visits show who they'll draft, but actually, most of the first round picks have not come from the 30 visits. But they do play a role in later rounds. Now, those are my guesses. All in all, I expect this year's draft to be a surprise for the Cowboys and hopefully defensive led if possible. I would expect this team to have a chance if GP is still there to have about 9 wins with a wild card push because this defense still needs a pass rush. They did okay this offseason, but honestly, what could help them the most is the Eagles having a worse offense than them for about the first time in 4 years. Now they're going to flip it. The Eagles fans are going to flip it and make it seem like they're fine. But unless they do something about their pass rush, and if they end up trading A.J. Brown as well, they are worse this year. Howie Roseman is the best GM, but he's not a magician. When he does do magician work, eventually you will run out of magic. Now this year is going to be exciting because I believe the CP can improve this team. Now let me know what you think. And if you stayed this long, please like, comment, and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.